Headbrush. This isn't actually a Rita Hayworth hair tutorial because I've actually already done one of those, which you can find in the card above or in the description. This tutorial is actually for what I like to call my accidentally perfect page boy style. Or this whole thing is terribly wrong, and I do what I normally do when the rolling goes wrong, which is just do some kind of elaborate updo. I've been on crutches for the past week, so I'm a little out of it, which is why this hairstyle is absolutely perfect. I first discovered it while I was in LA for business and I was completely exhausted, but I knew that I had meetings the next day. I generally can only do things when I have good hair. It's a thing. So even though it was past midnight, I grabbed my rollers, shoved as many of them in my hair as I could in a short space of time, passed out and woke up in the morning with weirdly perfect hair. But ever since then, I've been kind of accidentally recreating it whenever exhausted, and I'm exhausted now, so perfect. Who knew that chronic fatigue could give life to good hair? I am really out of it, wow. Okay, tools you will need for this look. A hairbrush. Yeah, they're linked in the description as well, everything is. Oh no, I remembered the thing I need. Oh man. A comb. Because you need a really precise parting for vintage styles. Look at it, you could stab someone with that, but most importantly, it gives you the perfect parting. A tiny bowl of water. Now a lot of people tend to do a roller set when their hair's slightly damp. That doesn't work for me. If my hair's just too damp, I take it out in the morning and it just goes straight again. I have very, very straight hair naturally. This isn't my natural hair. No, I curled it like 4 days ago, and this is just the end of that set. Water. To dampen your rollers, the smart girl's way to do it. Lot of body setting lotion, the even smarter way to do it. And a lot of foam rollers. I keep mine in a panettone case because you can move it around easily. It's beautiful and, oh my god, your rollers smell so good. These are the rollers that I use and they are from Amazon, like most things in my life. Yeah. Oh, also a hairnet, for obvious reasons. Depending on the type of hair you have, you may want to do this look in already curled hair. If your hair's too smooth and glossy, it's just not going to work. Basically what this style does is take hair that's a bit wild and tame it into something smooth and beautiful. When it works. If it doesn't work, again, you're getting a fancy updo. Let's begin by brushing this out. So you can see, it's actually, my hair is naturally quite shiny, which is very nice according to adverts, but not very helpful when you want to do vintage styles with it because it doesn't like to hold a curl. Actually, as a teenager, I used to just get my hair perm, but even the tightest perm fell out within 6 months. I do find though that dyeing it really helps it be able to be curled, like if I wasn't. So tip, if your hair is just too glossy, dye it, put heat on it, ruin it. I naturally actually don't have a parting. I kind of create this one. This is how my hair naturally grows, and this is why I always had a fringe as a child. There we go. We're going for quite an intense side parting here, just to keep our lovely kind of 1940s. We're aiming for femme fatale in a film noir. I wish I had an actual mirror here, but I don't. I just have the viewfinder. I should have thought that through as well, but I didn't. This is 2/3 full, and I'm gonna add 1/3 lotter body. Okay. I should take out my hearing aid first. I do actually have 2 hearing aids, and I meant to wear 2 of them, but I find that if I do that, it feels like my head is just closed in. Like my head can't breathe. Please tell me someone else understands that. I think I may be like high on caffeine. Also, I took some painkillers. My body hurts if I sit down, but it also hurts if I stand. But also it kind of hurts if I lie down. You know when it doesn't hurt? In a hot tub. Do I own a hot tub? No, I don't. No. How much is a hot tub? Is that a medical requirement? I think so. Right, let's start with the front of our hair. This is one of my fastest hair rolling that I don't know what I'm doing with my fingers at this point. And it's quite fast because you're taking large chunks of your hair. Normally I place my rollers in this way at the front of my hair and over the back of my head, the top of my head. But for this look, I put everything in sideways. We're going to call it over the top. These rollers will all be going in over the top. Rather than going for lots of tiny rollers, we're going to take this whole front section here, ba-boom, Then split that in half. Don't worry, you don't actually have to be too perfect. I actually do tend to generally stand here for ages, being fiddly and perfect, because I'm a perfectionist. So we've got our front section here. We're going to split it in half. It's only at the front of our head where we're going to be using kind of 2 rollers to a large section of hair. The rest of the time, we're just throwing the rollers in there. Whenever you look at a beautiful, precise, vintage hairstyle and you're like, wow, so much thought has gone into that. No, it's a lie. It's not true. It's merely an accident all the time. How did you do that, Jessica? All right, just a little dip of the roller in the water, mixed with otter body. And then we use our roller to just dampen our hair slightly. This I find works so much better for me than using hair that is already damp, because it means that it actually dries faster and in good time. Now, be careful with these ends. They're very important. The goal is to tuck these ends right over, by which I mean under. Because technically this is over, right? But you need to tuck it under the hair, underneath it. So we're tight when it comes to the ends, but from here on out, we just do more of a relax. So here you've seen pulling the hair. I just hate this bit. Wow, we'll get that in a minute. So we're pulling it tight when we're working on these lower ends. And then as we move along, we become much looser. There we go, just gentle pulling it around. Lovely. And then clip it off. I have to say, I think these type of rollers are always going to be the most comfortable. I sleep in these twice a week and it doesn't bother me at all. Whereas I've tried the other types of rollers, especially those darn Velcro ones. Ugh. And if you have very long hair, the Velcro ones are pointless, because by the time you get up to your head, your hair is so long it's wrapped all the way around and there's no Velcro sticking out. Okay? Use these clip ones instead. They're very useful. If you do have incredibly long hair, I would advise that you just use smaller segments of hair when you're doing this. It's mainly about how you pull it very tight for the ends and then loosen it and relax as you go through. There we go, just dampening the hair. Again, trying to curl the ends underneath the hair. It's a tricky thing. If it helps, I'm not on my game today, quite clearly. If you need a bit of help, you can use your comb, the end of your pointy comb. All right, well, you just do your thing then. So you glide it down and then around the roller. And that will help the very end of your hair to get under the bit of hair. Again, here we are, tight. Now the tightness that you're doing is generally just until you feel safely that your hair's not going to just fall out. And then loose, 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 all the way to your head. I just stabbed myself with my comb. And clip in. And now we move on to the back of our heads, which we're going to take in one very large chunk. And I'm going to move so you can actually see what I'm doing. Yeah, that's a massive chunk of hair. Okay, now normally, again, I would break this bit of hair up into smaller sections, but no, we're taking it, this massive chunk, over to the side. Slight dampening of the roller. Again, I mean, do I really need to talk this through with you? You're getting it, you're fine, you're doing it. Did I just take this off the roller? Yeah, I did. Good. So again, we're going over the top, quite taut for the ends, and rolling in, we just relax, there we go. Just gently rolling the hair in. I do find, I've done this on Claudia before, this look, and she has very curly, very coarse hair. It's very wavy, and there's so much of it. She's got ringlets underneath. And so her hair is a completely different texture to mine. And to get that kind of amazing, smooth, you know, this kind of Instagram people where it looks absolutely perfect and then you realise that they're a professional hairdresser and you're like, oh. Anyway, to get it to look like that, the best thing to do for her is to straighten it first. If it's curly at the bottom, don't worry. But if it's sort of wavy at the top here, then straightening it first may work for you. Go with the flow. It's an accidentally easy hairstyle. I don't want to make it more complicated for you by telling you you have to do 5 extra steps. So I just grabbed the hugest chunk on the side. It's fine, we're going with it. We're just happening, it's just happening. It's like life to me today. Life is just happening. The front's always difficult, especially if, like me, you have a horseshoe cut, which is quite an old-fashioned hairstyle, but basically means that your hair is shorter at the front than it is at the back. It is almost impossible, I'd say, to get the same look if your hair is exactly the same length all the way around. It's just not going to give you that same vintage horseshoe. Words are hard. Okay, Claudia just went, Baba, miss you, got a kids. And I was like, a kids? As in, you've got children coming? She went, no, I got a kiss from a thankful rabbi. Then moving on to the other front section of hair. Again, I'm not being too precise here. I'm not worrying about it. Everything is fine. Sometimes I do look terrible, that's not true. Sometimes I open the door to the postman and he gives me a look like, oh. So again, tight at the top, looser as we come down. Try not to pull too tight as you snap around. And again, just grabbing large sections, just going for it, willy-nilly, not caring too much about it. Do it, you'll be fine. There we are, a little tight up here, and then looser. Doing the same on the other side. To be honest, I curl my hair so much it now just falls into segments. Tight and looser. Lovely. Alright, there we go. Now all this hair at the back, just gonna do one across. Now, the rest of the hair, we just split it into 2. And again, tight at the top. And then a little looser as we come down. Done! It's actually that easy. Put the very attractive hairnet on our heads now. I know, don't you think it's just the most gorgeous thing ever? I find that if you just keep this this front one free, you don't get that awkward thing where the net just like slides down your face. And now we wait. And good morning! Now, time to take this out and see whether we've actually created something beautiful or it's a mess and I'm going to have to do this tutorial actually about an interesting updo. One of the tricks that really helps with this hairstyle is that when you're taking out the roller, rather than twisting it in a way that allows it to become a ringlet, we take it out very smoothly to the sides, keeping the hair as flat as possible. For example, like so, and then just gradually pulling out. She says, realising her hair is actually quite long and difficult to do with one hand. There we go, lovely. And then just using my lovely paddle brush here, and this will be linked in the description, along with all the other things I use. There we go, and we're just giving it a tug as we brush it down to give it a nice little bit of smoothness. Don't worry if the undersides are looking a bit too curly at the moment, because they are, of course, the undersides. And it's what's on top that really matters. I love Lotta Body and it works. Ooh, it does make your hair a bit crinkly to start with, before you've brushed it out, and that's kind of gross. And doing the same at the back. Again, I'm going to be giving this another brush in a minute with a bristle brush, which really helps with smoothness and shine. Right now, we're kind of just working on the building blocks. There we go. And look, you can already start to see that it's taking shape, she says, and then brushes it to destroy where it's taking shape. There we go. Look at that. Lovely. Whoop. This is probably the wettest roller I put in. I was slightly worried that this was going to be still too damp at the ends, but I think we've got away with it. Excellent. I'm just staring out of the window, by the way, if you're wondering what I'm staring at our garden, which we are kind of not doing anything to because we're waiting for it to recover itself, because when we moved in, it it hadn't been touched in a long time. And oh my god, the squirrels just ran past. Gorgeous. Okay, already you can see got a bit more of a shine, kind of looser curls at the bottom. We're going to be shaping those. I try and give some good brushes underneath. At the very last bit, it's always, you'll see this when we're shaping later, but if you brush against your hand, you're likely going to get a much better shape. Lovely. And as always, I say this quite often, but brushing against your boob, always a good idea. Now, most people will tell you that the best way to do a page boy is actually to pin curl it, and I highly agree. However, not all of us are perfect at the pin curling, because not all of us have the dexterity to do so. Don't ask me why I can do rollers, but I can't hold pins. Just a thing. Just the way my hands work. Interesting. Beautiful. Now we've let the hair at the front become ever so slightly curlier. What the hell is that bit of hair doing? Who gave you permission? Oh dear Lord. Okay. Well, that bit of hair obviously twisted around itself. Okay. There we go. Lovely. So using less hair at the front allows for this hair to be ever so slightly coarser and is a better building block. Again, what is this bit of hair doing? Okay, now we're coming in with the bristle brush. Lovely. Ooh, God, don't you just love a good bristle brush? Oh, how can you not? Oh, so shiny. Be a little gentle with the ends now, because we are trying to fix it into a lovely shape. This bristle brush is great for getting rid of the fluff. Just run a good bristle brush over it, and it really helps. Partly what I'm doing here at the back is I'm just running it through the top of the hair. That's because we want to keep the top nice and smooth, and it's then easier with the bottom to be building and shaping around your hand. Ready to make the ends look spectacular. You know what I've forgotten? Clips. Clips. Hang on, I'll get some clips. Almost panicked that we wouldn't be able to find my clips, but we're good. It's fine. How long can I use the "we just moved house" excuse for? So let's get to work on building up the front. If you have a gorgeous, natural bit of body in your hair, you might not need to do this. However, as I showed you earlier, my hair genuinely is flat as a pancake, and thus we need just a little bit of help here. I'm just going to do some light teasing. I've never yet worked out the magic of backcombing your hair but making it not look like you've backcombed your hair at all. I don't know how people do that. I look at some people's hair creations and I'm like, are you magic? What are you hiding in there? Small animals? I always imagine it like there's some kind of tiny bunny rabbit that's just in your hair and it's helpfully holding up the roof. I love Elmet. Like, I love everything about it. I love the smell. I love the spray. I love how handy it is. Unfortunately, my dear wife's grandmother also loved Elmet, and so she now just largely associates the smell of my hair with the smell of her grandmother's hair. In some ways is a good thing, nostalgia, and in some ways is a bad thing, old lady. But you know, that's fine. I'm not ashamed to say that my head smells like an old lady's head, because that makes sense. Pop some clips in here and protect this lovely little frontage we've got. I know, this is a whole mess, don't worry. We'll be sorted. There we go. Now we're just gonna use the comb for this front part here. Just brushing through. I always obviously have my parting so that my hair falls over the side of my face I can't see out of. So yes, can't see out of this eye, so it's fine to put lots of hair in front of it, but it then you do run into some problems sometimes, especially if you're ever doing something like a photo shoot, where they're like, could you just flick your hair? Every time it comes in your eye, just flick it away. And I'm like, how will I know? This, by the way, is the best way to brush children's hair. If you hold it and then comb, so no one's roots get pulled. Works for children and dogs and yourself. There's really no need to inflict pain upon your own scalp either. So I'm just using my hand as both a building block to brush against and the thing saving my scalp from pain. Lovely! Can you see this little end curve section that we're getting into here? Delightful. This is also why it's perfectly fine to have your rollers that are underneath be a little bit curlier hair, because you're just building upon that with the hair above it. Oh, look at that. Look at what we're achieving here today, people. Gorgeous. Sometimes I think I'm really ready to be a grandmother. Like, being a mum, slightly terrified. Being a grandmother, fully prepared. Let's get the comb in there again. Oh, I just realised I'm choking myself to death, but it's fine. It's all in the name of beautiful, shiny hair. What more can we ask for, people? Okay, I'm now going to move on to working on the back of my head, which is difficult because I can't see it, obviously. But hopefully you can. So I think we've got pretty smooth down on the top here. That's going well. At the bottom. Wait, did this sort itself out? Is the back of my hair like weirdly perfect? Oh. Okay, yeah, cool. We're gonna say that's done. And move on to this side. Go, flattening down. Now I always wear my hearing aid on this side, so I like to have this section of hair that goes in front of the hearing aid swooped behind my ear. So I work from the hair that's in the center section here, and that becomes the front of my hair. There we go. So saying shaping around my thumb. And then you have to try and brush down, but without dislodging the hair that's behind your ear. I am, however, if you were wondering, feeling so much better than yesterday when I was curling my hair, losing my words, and kind of losing the will. Losing the will to continue on. But now we're good. I can never do this on clean hair. It only ever works on hair that has already been rolled, is a few days old. So if you were wondering, yes, I have stopped washing my hair before I go to events in order to get it to look nice like this. We're going well. Okay. Wonderful. Just some more. We're filming in my new studio and it's quite a big room, but I'm breathing purely Elnet at this point. And we're done. So there you go, there's my very easy page boy hairstyle. I hope that you've enjoyed it. Please do try it and let me know how you get on. Remember, I have a whole other playlist with lots of different rolling techniques and some hairstyles in, and I'm going to put that in the description and in a card above so you can easily go and watch through all of those if you're feeling very inspired by hair. By the way, remember to go and check out my Instagram, Jessica Out of the Closet, where I have a variety of other looks. So it's the girl who only wears one type of makeup at all times, but sure. Just leave me a link in the comments to whatever hairstyle you would like me to do a tutorial on, and I shall get that on the way for you. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know what you thought of this video. Obviously I haven't done a hair tutorial in forever. I hope that you've really enjoyed this one, and I shall see you in my next video. Mwah!